I'd now like to invite the next speaker to the stage, who's going to talk to us about the tremendous challenge and opportunity that India represents, building for the next billion, for which that's the population of India, just about. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Gulzar Azad, Head of Connectivity for Google India.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you all doing?
Good.
I'm sure you're enjoying the sessions. Yesterday, there were quite a few insightful messages and vision from the people that I heard. And this morning, Chris got us started on a very energetic note. So thank you for that. Quickly, let me tell you about Google Access and Energy. Has not been spoken much about, so I'm not sure if many of you know that, but what's more well known are the projects like Google Fiber and the HAPs, the apps that we are building for the drones, for internet access, and the OnHub Wi-Fi router that got released. All of this is part of the Google Access and Energy team, and that's the team that I work for in India, and I head the strategy and partnerships there. But I'm really an access evangelist out there in India. My job mostly is to get things started, bring it to the very smart and super talented people. This project that I'm going to talk to you about has many stakeholders in the US, just like some of our other projects. And I think we have some of them in the room. So team, can you make yourself visible so that people know who to talk to if they want to after this project, after this presentation? All right. No, all right. Okay. So they're probably, they're hiding. They've heard of enough evangelism from me. All right. So quickly, I'm Gulzar Azad, as I said, and I'm going to talk to you about a project which got announced by the Indian Prime Minister and Google CEO Sundar Pichai a few weeks back. I'm here today to tell you not how and what does it mean to do a project of that intensity, of that scale, but really why are we doing this project? What's the significance for India, for emerging markets? What's its relevance for Wi-Fi? And how do I believe, and I hope that some of you can see through that, why this is going to change the world. So, first, a couple of questions. Who has, among the audience, has been to India in the last 1 year? All right, I see a few hands. And who has ever in their lifetime traveled on an Indian train? All right, I see a few hands. Good. So, congrats to these guys. They've seen the super crunch, the really grounded experience of traveling in Indian Railways. So great. And for the rest of you, I'm going to make you imagine a lot of this today. So it's going to be fun. So I'm sure a lot of you are tracking, what's happening in India, and so these stats might be well known to you. But really, I'm putting the slide up so that I want you to pause. Okay, thanks. So pause and think India, right? Because, what does it mean? What does it stand for? You see these colors? They all represent some of the very few top spoken languages in India, written, read, spoken all across India. Just the very few top. There are hundreds of other languages. It's a diversity really unbelievable, unlike anything else, right? And what I want you to know is that what are the key driving factors for the digital and technology evolution in India? There are really three. One is the 4x smartphone growth, the highest growth in the world, and headroom to grow still X number of times. The second is $450 billion retail industry beginning to go online. Just beginning, just about beginning, right? It's not grown as yet. And so that's really foretelling what's more to happen. And third is that it's a very, very competitive environment where internet majors, operators, startups, are really compelling the industry to move forward, the digitization to move forward, and now, since 2014, very recently, supported by a highly ambitious, as Krish mentioned, top-down driven mandate from the government. We heard Chris talk about like the 190 million bank accounts that were opened in a year, right? I mean, that's happening because of the government. So there is really things are moving. The timing is just awesome for the country right now. And you have the 600 million under the age of 25 people out there really hungry for growth, for progress, for digitization. It means a lot for what we can do. But as you think about India, let me take you back about 20 to 25 years, the story of internet in India, right? How did it all start? I mean, for me, this is how it started, right? I mean, I got access to computers and laptops in my lab, but really, I mean, I could not access the internet. I mean, there was dial-up internet of all sorts, in 1990s, early 90s, and that wasn't really taking us to the internet. What really took you, what the main driver of internet were the internet cafes. You see some of these pictures out there, right? They were the point of affordable access, governance, education, learning from each other. All of that was happening. At the peak time, there were like 200K or so internet cafes. But now what's happening? Smartphones came in, the 2G revolution sort of came in, and those internet cafes are really disappearing. Now the question is, when that happens, I mean, I and a bunch of people in that generation grew up with the ability to go to these internet cafes in large cities, in small cities, in towns, everywhere. But those are now disappearing. So what's going to happen to the next billion? Just imagine, right? How's the osmosis going to take place? Okay, the next billion will have the smartphone, so the device problem is more or less solved. Great, awesome. But what's going to happen to affordable broadband? I mean, these cafes are disappearing, right? They are decreasing actually, 10%, 20% year on year. Now, where do you expect these guys to go? I mean, yes, there is some 2G, there is some bit of 3G out there, but that isn't sufficient, right? Now imagine if you had to continue building these internet cafes, thousands of them, millions of them, what would you do, right? And as I've been working for the last 3 years for internet access in India, for Google India. And this is the first project that we just announced and about to commence on. So I was grappling with this whole thing, right? I mean, I was looking at fiber, I was looking at spectrum, licensed spectrum, unlicensed spectrum. Where do we go? How do we solve this problem in a very scalable way, right? So really, as I started thinking about it, I sort of discovered something, and I need to tell you that. It's a quick secret, right? A lot of the world has been talking about digital divide, but really, for a large part of the world, and especially as I experienced that in India, the digital divide is fast reducing, it's going away. So look, devices are going cheaper, they are on a downward cost spiral. Entry level data plans are extremely cheap. The next best thing is just free, right? They are very cheap. And thirdly, you have all the forces available to drive you sort of online, like messaging, social networking is really large in India. So you have the basic stuff to get online. So digital divide is more or less a question of time now. Now yes, the bottom of the pyramid will have to be addressed by the government initiatives. I mean, there's a whole degree of new problem if you look at the last 200 million people. But more or less that's going away. What really is happening is, and we heard some of it yesterday, when we were talking about the city Wi-Fi and all of that stuff, is that there is an experience divide happening. And I'm telling you, the digital divide is gone, there's experience divide, and if we don't think about it, what's going to happen is, yes, you will be able to bridge the digital divide, you'll be able to bring people online, but the experience divide is going to grow exponentially. And the reason is that we are building it wrong. I mean, really, seriously, we are just building it wrong, right? Because for the other part of the world, for the other half of the world, all we imagine is, let's bring them online, let's get them to some chatting, some social updates, some fun stuff, and that's about it. So you want to build the fiber 1 Gbps capacities and the 5Gs of the world for the top of the world, the best of the devices, the $600 device and the $700 device, awesome. But what about the other part of the world? That's the world that does not understand the text web. They don't get it, right? It's the world that requires a visual web. It's the world which requires the video web, and we are not building it right. So what's going to happen is the experience divide is taking place. And also there's a meta point here, right? Which is, we are all, look at every one of us here. We've all grown up in the experience. We are born with the experience. It's there, wherever you, in every walk of your life. So it's very intuitive for you. So this market is really about a demand and supply. That's it, right? Yes, there is experience. Experience in the beauty of science, it's in high tech of the science, the beauty of technology, and all of that stuff. But there, in that part of the world, experience is really the difference between having a kbps internet and having an mbps internet. And as in how people are going online, it's increasing. And just to illustrate further my point, if you go and ask people in tier 3, tier 4 towns in this part of the world, India or similar market, ask them what internet is. And the most definition that you will get to is really akin to chatting and doing some social updates and all of that. You can't go far. At the best, you will go to a 5-minute buffered video that they will see from a link that they got again from a social network. That's the best definition of internet they will see. That's not really the internet, right? Internet is the greatest library of knowledge that mankind has built. But what's happening with the experience divide is that we are thinking about the other part of the world as somebody who should just come online in this generation and probably the next generation and not get the same broadband access that they can. But the real opportunity really is that broadband experience divide is the only thing that we can bridge in the next decade. You can't give them the same lifestyle, possibly not in the next decade. You can't give them the same technology, you can't give them the same advancement. You really can't. The only thing is the broadband experience divide. If we can conquer that, I think the next decade is going to be just brilliant. It's going to be awesome. So you start thinking, where should we start, right? India, where should we go? Now, I want you to imagine Times Square at peak hour, right? How many people have been to Times Square? All right. So you can imagine, right? Times Square peak hour, and then add the number of people going to Super Bowl, right? Now pack all of them up in a significantly less space, and what do you have? You have one Indian railway station. One, right? Just one. So that's where I started. 2012, I wanted to do a pilot, a Wi-Fi pilot in one Indian railway station, the New Delhi railway station. Well, for several reasons, we didn't get to that, right? And it takes time. So I've been in discussion with the government since 3 years. It's not much for a civilization which is 5,000 years old. So what do we do next? Where do we go? There we are. So we said, okay, scale. When I went back to Google, Google said, can you do something at scale, right? Can you build it large and big? So here's what we are doing, Indian Railways. And if you're still wondering why Indian Railways, let me ask you a question. How many passengers do you think the Indian Railways carries on a yearly basis? Total passengers, right? Not uniques, right? 300 million, 500 million, a billion, 2 billion. All right. Anybody thinks it's a billion? Some 2, 1. Anybody thinks it's 300 million? No? All right. So I pulled a baton. None of this is right. Right? It's more than 8 billion. It's the most number of passengers that any transport network carries across the world. It's more than 8 billion. It's 25 million passengers a day. Now that's amazing, right? Isn't that amazing? Now, if you had to conquer this experience divide that I'm talking about, where would you go? Typically, where would you go? What are the 3 things you're going to need if you want to conquer the experience divide? Come on, fiber. You're going to need fiber, right? You're going to need immense, abundant backhaul, fiber. You're going to need power. You're going to need people, I mean, you'll have to invite the people or go to a place where all of the population comes, a billion come, or, right, or you reach to the billion households, which will cost you billions of dollars and many, many decades. Now, those are three things. And the fourth thing, what's the fourth thing that you need to conquer the digital divide? Now, I got the people, the location, I got the fiber, I got the power. What's the fourth thing we need? We need Wi-Fi. Yes, that's right. Come on, guys. WBA, right? We need Wi-Fi. We need these four things is what you need, and that's what's happening, and that's the reason why we are doing this project, right? Of course, we are going to use our technology to make things easier, secure, more reliable for people to log on to Wi-Fi. There's a lot of friction there. I'll talk about some of the challenges very quickly, but this is really it. And RailTel, which is the telecommunications arm of Indian Railways, has laid this 45,000 kilometers of fiber, which actually connects more than 4,000 cities and towns. What we are doing is actually, about 10% or less than that. Now, our hope is, and the reason why we're taking this up is that, this will grow in other parts of the world. More such projects will be done, more such impact will be created, and Indian Railways and RailTel will actually take it forward and continue building it to 4,000 stations and so. But really, I'm coming back to the story. When I started, I did some basic maths, before I landed here. I was thinking about it in the flight. So really, this is not just 400 stations or 100 stations that we are going to build by the next year. It's not just that. It's not just the Wi-Fi hotspots. It really connects the way I would like to connect is, this is really 1 million internet cafes. That's what it is, right? I mean, if you were to talk about every cafe takes in 10 to 20 people on an average, this is what it is. It's 1 million internet cafes that we will build out once we complete the first 100 stations itself. And then you can imagine, do the maths about what it's going to be when we do 400 and so on forth, right? So what are some of the challenges? Obviously, I mean, this is unprecedented for India, for large part of the world, and there are obviously, to start with, the public Wi-Fi itself is challenging because it needs know your customer kind of specifications, requirements from the government, and that makes the whole user experience very it has lots of friction to it, and that's not easy to overcome. So a large part of the Indian installations of Wi-Fi has seen this problem where public Wi-Fi, getting onto public Wi-Fi has this friction. People have to attach to their SSID, log in, and get some form of OTP, SMS-based OTP and stuff like that to attach themselves. Now these are regulatory requirements, these are policy requirements. They're not so easy to overcome, both from a policy perspective as well as from a technology perspective. So I think we are going to face that. We're going to think about how do we reduce user friction as we go and build this. Again, awareness is the key. I mean, people come to the station not expecting clean water, not expecting trains to be on time, not expecting a whole lot of things. And among the things that they don't expect, one thing that stands out is Wi-Fi, right? You don't expect Wi-Fi here. I mean, obviously, you don't get clean water, how can you get Wi-Fi, right? I mean, you're leapfrogging everything. And I want trains to be running on time, and you just want to go build Wi-Fi. And so some people are happy and some people will complain, but awareness will be a problem, right? So we have to get people to be aware. These are not people who walk into a cafe or anywhere in India expecting Wi-Fi actually. So it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be something that we'll have to continuously over a period of time educate people on both how to get onto Wi-Fi as well as what can Wi-Fi do for them. Then of course there are some physical security, network management issues that will come up for railways. Again, railways has not faced this before. So as we think about it, I think there are plenty of innovation opportunities, and not just here but in public Wi-Fi domain itself. I think a lot of people have spoken about, and I've seen a lot of it in India. The business model is very challenged because of several reasons. It's just not about Wi-Fi being free, but it's also about the aspect that where is Wi-Fi available. As far as when you think about a user, people are thinking about users in general, but they are not thinking about the user map. I mean, you're not mapping the user to where the user goes and then go build the public Wi-Fi, right? Because that way you can get the most value. You can get the user to realize that there is value in it. And then maybe the user will pay, or maybe the advertisers will see value that you're following a specific set of users, so let's go do that Wi-Fi. I mean, this is just one of the innovation that you could do. You could build a user map, a custom user map, right? For people to get the most out of Wi-Fi. And then, of course, our project should, throw up other bit of innovations that, as I said, we'll hope to reduce the friction that people can make Wi-Fi really seamless, secure, reliable, and make sure that it scales. So with that, thank you for being a great audience.